My name is Anthony Watt. I work for Family Recovery Center as the clinical director. I have a team, including myself, of about 15 people, and we primarily serve mental health and substance abuse clients. We're based in Ohio. The first thing was we were looking for a way to increase productivity. And so if we were decrease documentation time, then we can increase productivity. So that was the first reason why we even started looking into using some sort of AI software. We started that, I think it was early December of 2024. Is when we started actually experimenting and looking at different ones. So some of the biggest, I guess, painful points, to use your wording, would be what actually goes into documentation for new clinicians. A lot of times in school, we're taught all of the techniques, we're taught how to do it, but we're not really taught how to document that. And so what I found with using Sidekick is that even my newest clinicians are able to document what they did proficiently because it picks up on what happened in the session, where even sometimes the clinicians don't know, oh, I did this thing. And so it's pretty cool to see that. And with the newer clinicians or some that struggle with documentation, it has shown them what documentation is supposed to look like on top of that. And so it's actually a decent training tool. The main thing was just timeliness of documentation. Some of it was decreasing burnout as well, because at an agency level, if you're expecting 65 to 70% direct services, it's hard to do that when you're spending anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes per note trying to write that, because the time doesn't quite add up there. And so it actually, at least in my case, it has helped with the burnout side of things as well, because I'm not spending so much time just writing notes about what happened.
Yeah.
I know when I was a full-time clinician, if I had AI, it would have been much easier to have 30 to 35 direct hours per week versus 25 to 28 was considered a lot. And with AI, it doesn't matter. It makes life much easier from a clinical standpoint. So we get into the job to do the work. We don't get into it for the paperwork side of it. And so that has been an extreme help for most of my clinicians, even the ones who were skeptical of it at first. Once they started using it, they loved it. So some of the concerns were they didn't know how their clients would respond to being recorded during a session. Some of them didn't really want to be recorded themselves, so some of it was challenging those thoughts. They didn't really realize what the benefit of using it would be or the accuracy of it. I was actually one of those skeptics with how is this going to help me? What's the difference? And then I tried it, like it's definitely helpful. And so that was the main thing, is actually just getting them to try something, especially for the more experienced clinicians that hadn't used it. Like, well, I've done it this way for 15 years. Why do I need to change it? Like, just try. Actually, I have one who is extremely opposed to technology. She hates it. Anything new, she hates. And now she uses it for everything. So,
Oh wow.
so she was one I had used one of the trials. And just try it, see what happens. And after that, if there's any issues with it now, she's like, it's not working. How I got to write my note? The same way you used to. Yeah. Honestly, the biggest way to do it is just have them try it, even if it's sitting in with somebody who's already using it and just watching how it works. That's really the biggest thing, because everybody's afraid to try new things, but once you try them, it tends to be much easier. And then just seeing the benefit of it should improve things significantly as well. For us, some of it with our clinicians, we made it a mandate as well. Like, hey, you are going to start doing this. At first, it was optional, and For some, it's still optional. It's one of those things like if you're not meeting this percentage of timeliness, you have to use it. And so I have one. He rarely uses it, but his documentation is always on time. And so he'll use it, 15, 20 times a month, where I have some clinicians just looking 50 to 60 times or more. So, it's pretty easy once you get them to see what it will do. If they haven't really seen it, then they're skeptical of it. But once they see what it will do and how it works, it's much more likely to be used. And
Yeah.
making it mandatory helps too. So at least at the moment, everybody's still using it for, I won't say they're using it for all intakes and sessions, but that's mainly what they're using it for is couples counseling, intakes, individual sessions. I still have a couple who are looking forward to the group aspect launching, where they can use it for 6 to 12 people at a time. They're still looking forward to that, and then that would also increase the use of it. But on a day-to-day, it's used for pretty much every intake because that makes life much easier for us. And then it's used for most individual sessions as well. As far as how it's changed day-to-day activities, our schedules are much more full than they were because we don't need as much time for documentation. And so that has led to the direct increase in productivity, which I mentioned earlier as well. Which I think it has definitely changed the game. After 6 months, so I believe we fully adopted it in January where everybody was using it. In December, we had, I think, 4 or 5 people testing it. And so in December, our timeliness of documentation as an agency, this is the overall, was 77.6%, which is documentation that's given within 48 hours of the service. That's how we measure the timeliness. As of April, we don't have May's statistics yet, but as of April, the documentation timeliness was at 93%. So we have an almost 20% increase in timeliness of documentation, which is significant. On top of that, as an agency, we had looking back at December to April, we had 21.3% increase in productivity across the agency. So I don't think there's any way you could say that's not a direct correlation with implementing Sidekick. And so the outcomes have definitely been worth the investment. I would say absolutely. I've actually told other clinical directors that. Actually, there is one clinical director I've told who is using it. I think there's 4 or 5 on her staff who are actively using it at this point. But I definitely encourage them to at least try it. I could tell them worst case scenario is you hate it and you don't do it anymore. So, we have the ability to send over a free trial as a user of it, and you just send that over. Like, hey, try it, see what you think. And so far, everybody I've sent it to has loved it. And I even use it in some private practice stuff for myself outside of Family Recovery Center. So it is definitely worth it.